a lot of people, when they come back to the gym, their first thought is, hey, I used to be able to bench press 100 pounds, 500 pounds, whatever. And you think to yourself, well, I wonder where I'm at today. So I'm going to go in on my first day and I'm going to max out. I want to see where my strength is. All right, summer's over and you've got that itch. It's time to go back to the gym. For a lot of you, me included, we slacked, right? I slacked on my nutrition. I can't tell you how much crap I've eaten this summer. But it's fall. It's time to get back. That's right. Your trainer said he ate crap. I also ate a lot of good things too. But summertime is meant to be fun. Everybody dreams to get out of school right when they're kids. It's summertime. That's when, soda pop and you're eating candy and things like that. And for me, it at least brings back my memories, especially having a daughter. I kind of get to relive some of those memories, even though she's only one. But it's time to get back into it. So I slacked on my training as well. Now, I didn't completely take off, but I haven't been lifting very heavy. I've barely been practicing my typical skills, right? My weightlifting, my clean and jerk, my snatch. I've barely been doing that. I haven't deadlifted in a long time, actually. I'm just slowly going to be implementing that back in. But what I did do this summer was cardio. I literally haven't put cardio into my training since 2016. So not only does cardio take up a little bit less of my time, I can do a little here, a little there, right? I don't have to commit so much time to lifting, let's say. But it was totally different. 2016, literally 7 years ago, was the last time that I did cardio. How do I know that? I was doing Spartan races. Anyway, what I found out is I actually kind of like cardio, even though anybody who knows me would be like, what? You like cardio? You lift so much. You're right, I do. But what my problem was is I never really found a cardio that I liked, right? I thought Spartan race, cool, obstacle course, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be so much great. Yeah, well, it was better in theory than actually in practice. I didn't get out of it what I was hoping to get out of it. I was tired, but not like I thought. And, running sucks. Biking sucks. Swimming really sucks. But I just hadn't been able to find what I liked. I kind of liked it in sleds. I kind of liked it in battle rope. But what I liked is being able to work really hard and trying to shorten it up a little bit. Now, there's a lot of good things about doing long bouts of cardio, right? Kind of that steady state cardio. There's a lot of good things that you can get from that. A lot of calories can be burned, but it's so boring for me that I wasn't going to do it. So what did I do? Might not have been the best for my strength training, but I got an air bike. I got a bike that you use your arms and your legs, and it sucks. And I would do all kinds of different lengths. So I would do your short bursts, but I would also do 12 minutes. Oh my God. Anyway, it's very hard, but that was motivating to me. So it was something that I was willing to commit to. But now it's fall, so it's time to get back into it. Now, what we want to think about is, how did the summer benefit us? For me, it was a lot of general type training or no training for you. For me, it was, again, more calories, a little bit more junk food. My body got to rest a little bit, because when I'm in game mode trying to get every pound on the bar I can, I'm not really eating a lot of junk food, right? Because junk food just puts more obstacles in my way, whether it throws off my sleep, actually throws off my training, whatever. Maybe my calories are off too. And when I really commit to my lifting, I really commit to my nutrition and my sleep. That's just how I am. But this summer, it was kind of nice. It was kind of nice to just, screw it. I'll just eat this. I haven't eaten it in a while. Now, I'm not going to go crazy ape shit right away in the fall, and I won't do the same thing with my training, and nor should you. So a lot of people, when they come back to the gym, their first thought is, hey, I used to be able to bench press 100 pounds, 500 pounds, whatever. And you think to yourself, well, I wonder where I'm at today. So I'm going to go in on my first day and I'm going to max out. I want to see where my strength is. Don't do that. And please, really don't do that. Why? Your body is not in the same technique. You're probably stiff. You maybe even gained a few pounds. You haven't even moved in that general direction, right? You haven't even done a push-up all summer, and you're going to throw as much weight as you possibly can, which, by the way, just so you know, you don't even have to test this. It's not going to be as good as it was. Why? You were doing hard training, consistent training. You haven't been consistent. Your technique is off. Your timing is off. Weights feel heavy. They really do. Something about working really hard over a long period of time, it really makes heavy weights feel just, okay, here we go. But take a month, 3 months off, put even a moderate weight on the bar, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're getting back into it. It's such an amazing thing, which is why I am so in love with lifting really, really heavy stuff. Anyway, so don't go into the gym and just go nuts. What we want to do is we want to use this time to get ready for the next time we're going to have this huge influx of calories and mostly carbohydrate. When? The holidays. So it gives us a starting point, right? So let's say the holidays, let's just say the end of November if you celebrate Thanksgiving. Great. You're going to get a ton of calories in at the end of November. Cool. From there through the December holiday season, you're going to be 6 weeks of a lot of food. Great. Let's use that. And this is what I use it for too. Let's use it for our big lifts. So let's already plan, okay, from maybe the week after Thanksgiving all the way through to the new year, maybe even one extra week into 2024, we're doing heavy stuff. Great. Now, let's back it up. It's, September. Not technically, it's the 31st of August, but let's say it's September. So we have 2.5, 3-ish months to prepare, right? Now, these first 2 weeks, we got to get through and pray we get through okay, because you even touch a weight, you even touch a treadmill, you even just start moving, you're going to be sore. So, right, these first 2 weeks, absolutely shorten your workouts from what they were, right? So let's say in the past, your workout would take you an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Great. Let's start with 30 minutes. Let's start with 40 minutes. Let's do a little extra warm-up than we would normally do when we're in season or when it's fall and we're ready for it. So let's do something short. Let's do some skipping. Let's do some cardio. That's fine. All right. And then let's get into our lifts. Pick 2, maybe 3 lifts that you're going to just focus on. And let's do that for the first 2 weeks. Okay? Maybe you train 3 times this first week and 4 times next week. We don't need to go right back into training 4, 5, 6 days a week, multiple times a day for some crazies. We don't need to jump right back into that, right? So let's think, okay, so at the end of this year, we're going to be hitting some big weights. This first week or 2 is just kind of getting back into the swing of moving the bar this way, the dumbbells, my body, getting on treadmills, whatever. Okay, great. Now we're in the second week of September. Perfect. Now let's take some of those exercises and think to ourselves, okay, am I ready to commit 4 days a week? Yes? Great. Now let's start figuring out our weeks. Okay, we're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, if possible, right? Having those extra days in between, great. But if you have to cram it together, that's fine too. But what we want to think about is, okay, after these previous 2 weeks, where should I start now? Okay, if I start with bench press, sets of 8, maybe I'm going to do 4 sets this week, 5 sets next week, and then switch into maybe going a little heavier, whatever. But for the next 2 to 4 weeks, I'm going to focus on, hey, let's just get more repetitions under our belt. We're not chasing weight yet. We're just trying to really hone in that technique. Extra repetitions can potentially help you lose some of that weight you gained this summer, right? And still gain muscle, or at least put some sugar back into your muscle in this next month, maybe 6 weeks if you really were misbehaved. But let's get some squats under our belt. Let's get some push-ups, our bench press, whatever, under our belt. And let's pick a weight that in the last 2 weeks wouldn't be too much of a jump. So your first week, you might barely be doing, 50-pound squats. You might be dying, okay? Or maybe 200-pound squats, whatever your number is. The next week, let's add maybe 5 or 10% to what we did. You were doing 200 pounds. Let's add 10 pounds to it. See how that jump feels. Okay, now we're into this new phase that I was talking about, midway through September. Okay, so we know jumping 10 pounds wasn't crazy. I mean, it didn't make me super sore. Okay, maybe what I'm going to try is 15 this week. Let's see how that goes. I'm going to pick a similar repetition range, maybe 8. By the way, sets of 10 squats, new to me. Whoa. Anyway, maybe I'm going to pick a different stance, whatever I'm doing, and I'm going to do my 8s with this, 15-pound jump. See how I feel. The next week, so again, now this is the 4th week of September, we're thinking to ourselves, okay, I jumped 10, it was fine. I jumped 15, it was fine. Hey, why don't I jump another set? Okay, I did 4 sets last week. Maybe I'm going to do 5 sets. Let's just see how extra repetitions feel. Okay, great. Then the next week comes by. Okay, well, I'm kind of getting crazy. I have 5 sets of 8. That's 40 reps. That's quite a bit. Maybe what I'll do is, hey, I kind of want to still go on this trend of big lifts here in the fall, or at the end of winter, or beginning of winter, rather. I'm going to add maybe another 15 pounds because I know a couple weeks back I did that. Wasn't a big deal. Okay, instead of doing 40 reps, I'm going to kick it back to 36. That way next week, maybe I can add another set and maybe do 42 reps or go back to doing 8 at a time. All we're trying to do is get our feet wet those first 2 weeks. Then for like a month, just slowly ramping up weights a little over here, repetitions over there, sets over there. And again, get some volume under your belt. For a lot of you, you should probably take a week off, okay? It's been 6 weeks. You're probably getting some aches and pains. Take a week off. Great. Maybe not completely off, but let's go way back down. Let's do a week of cardio. Let's do a week of healing. Let's do a really good week on our nutrition, okay? Because you're going to be sore 6 weeks. Plus, you've been really going hard. Even against my recommendation, right, my advice, you're pushing it a little harder than you probably should. Okay? You've been sore a lot and it extended past those 2 weeks. Let's say that. Take a week off. Now, fast forward. Let's say you did 4 weeks. Now we're in the middle of October. Great. Now we really want to start prioritizing. Okay, we have like 2 months before we really want to be hitting some bigger weights. Actually, we only have 6 weeks. So let's start adding some weights to these exercises. Maybe I'm going to add 10 pounds a week on my bench press for 6 weeks. Whatever seems right. Based on the jumps you've done in the last 6 weeks, you'll kind of have a feel for it. Just as you know, as you get heavier, you're probably not going to be able to jump as big as you did way down here because we started lighter on purpose, right? We still have 6 weeks until we want to be lifting heavy. So it's a great time to think, okay, if I'm wanting to do heavy sets of 3 for 6 weeks around the holiday season, I need to be doing at least something similar. Maybe some sets of 5, maybe some sets of 6, depending upon the exercise. Maybe bench press, you're doing 6s. Maybe on deadlift, you're doing 3 to 5 repetitions. And in the holiday season, you're going to do a big set of 2, a big set of 1. I'm a really big proponent of, I like 3s because your technique still has to be pretty damn good to get through 3, but the weights aren't quite as heavy as a 2 or a 1. And especially if you're way out of practice, you'll have somebody there. You should be able to know after 1 or 2 repetitions how this set is going. And this is actually an okay thing. You're more likely to talk yourself out of it rather than psyching yourself way too high, taking too many shots of pre-workout, doing some nose torque, whatever, tightening your belt an extra notch, really tearing into your skin with your wrist wraps just so you can maybe do this new weight for 1. Probably not something you want to think about. 3, again, you can talk yourself out of it. And for somebody who's a little inexperienced, that's great. Or for somebody who took a long time off, that's great. You might do 2 and say, I don't really know about this third one. Great, fine, rack it. Because it's not as though the first week of January or second week rolls around and we're done. We're thinking, oh, hey, we set ourselves up with this 3. Is it wise in the late winter when it's dark? Is it wise for me to go for a 1 rep max? Or, hey, maybe I'm going to try these 3s again, or maybe 2s. So it gives you a little bit of leeway after the new year because you're still going to want to be motivated, right? After the holidays, the motivation goes really high. It's also a great time to really be pushing some big weights, right? Because you're probably still eating a little extra. Anyway, going back. So we're in that middle part of October. Great. 5s, 6s, maybe 3s on deadlift, right? Maybe 2s. Okay, how many sets? Well, it depends. If you're doing maybe 4 days a week, great. Maybe you're squatting once a week. Maybe you're squatting twice a week, depending upon how your legs respond. Maybe you're bench pressing twice a week. Maybe you're deadlifting once a week. Maybe instead of bench pressing, you're overhead pressing. There's a lot of things, a lot of choices to make. And I'm here to tell you that as long as you're doing some for your lower, some for your upper, and you can justify why, you're probably good, right? I'm doing an extra day of overhead pressing because I really want to make sure that my delts and my triceps are developing more. Okay, fine. I'm only squatting once a week because I'm deadlifting twice a week because. As long as you have a legitimate because, and you say to yourself, well, that makes sense, and you're not going so crazy. I'm doing 14 sets of 36 deadlifts 3 days a week, and I don't give a shit. You're going to shit your pants, okay? That's probably what's going to happen. Anyway, as long as it's sensible, you're fine. Sometimes social media gets a little crazy with, oh, well, in this really small, nuanced situation, if you who cares? That's not probably what you are, right? So you're doing fives. Easy. If you want a really easy cookie cutter plan, I'll tell you. The 5x5 program, it's a 3-day-a-week program. You're doing 4 days a week? Great. Maybe you take a squat day out. Maybe for those of you who don't know it, it alternates between an A and a B. So one week it's A, B, A. Next week it's B, A, B, right? And each day you actually end up squatting. So if you're squatting 4 days a week, coming from a guy who has done programs that are 6 days a week, you need to really know how to navigate to do even 3 days a week of squatting. Now, the 5x5 program makes it really simple. You must do the same weight every single day, and you must make it feel like it wasn't that hard, that third day that you did it. That way next week I can add 5 pounds. The problem is you're going to run into a roadblock of fatigue, and I just can't keep adding 5 pounds. At some point I need to do sets of 3. At some point I only need to squat once a week, twice a week, whatever, because these big weights are beating me up. Okay? But 5x5 program, really not a bad place to start. So let's say you're doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Maybe you squat Monday, maybe you squat Thursday. Maybe you bench press on Monday and Thursday. Maybe on Tuesday, you're doing a hamstring type work. Maybe on Saturday, you're doing deadlifts. Maybe with your Tuesday, maybe you're doing some accessory movements such as pull-ups or biceps or triceps. You're going to get that day off anyway. Just note, if you're going to do something like that on Wednesday, if you're going to do something like that on Thursday when you're benching your second day, don't kill your triceps on Tuesday. Monday, maybe you bench sets of 5. Maybe Tuesday, you do a little tricep work. Maybe tricep stuff over your head, so it's not as similar as to what your elbow's doing when you're doing a chest. And then when you come around on Thursday, maybe you stick to 1s and 2s. Just if you burn out your triceps in an endurance standpoint, you're kind of hindering your endurance when you do, again, that chest press or bench press on Thursday. Anyway, so you're doing your 4 workouts a week. Where does cardio come into play? You don't necessarily have to do a ton. Some people actually dedicate that 4th day to doing some longer bouts of cardio. And no, you don't have to necessarily worry, even in this time, how negative it's going to affect you if it's only 1 day a week. If you're doing 2 hours of treadmill after all of these workouts, that's wild. That's a lot. And you probably aren't even ready for that quite yet because it's only been 6 weeks, or 8 if you're now into November. So anyway, you get past that point. Then we already know we're going to be lifting some big weights through the holiday season. Now, what does that mean? It does not mean that every single week you can think to yourself, I'm going to do a heavy set of 3 squats and bench press on a Monday, a heavy set of 3 deadlifts on a Wednesday, and then max out my pull-ups on a Friday, and then Saturday I'm going to whatever. No, you got to be a little strategic, right? Throughout these 6 weeks, maybe you pick 3 of those exercises that perhaps those last 2 weeks around that, holiday Christmas time, those last 2 weeks of December, okay, maybe it's, I'm going to do really heavy 3s the week of, Christmas. And then the week after, I'm going to do 3 rep max, right? Chances are, one of those days, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, maybe both, you're not even going to train. You're going to get probably 1 extra day rest. If you were doing sensible but heavy sets of 3, 2 sets of 3, 3 sets of 3, whatever, chances are you're going to be fine. If you, in the, let's say, New Year's Eve week, if Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you do some moderate, more technique work, maybe you do a little bit of 4s, 5s, somewhere in that 70% range, perhaps, without getting too fatigued, maybe 60%. Then maybe Friday, Saturday, you think Friday I'm going to do a 3 rep max squat, a 3 rep max bench, and then Saturday a 3 rep max deadlift. Or maybe you can work it out where it's, Thursday, Saturday, it's Friday, Sunday, it's Thursday, Sunday, whatever. If you can split those days up, great. I've found actually with my clients that having them do a squat and bench day and then giving them a day off, or sometimes even back to back, which isn't perfect, but then doing like a heavy set of 2 or a set of 1 deadlift, the squat doesn't necessarily have too much of a negative effect on their ability to deadlift. It might pull back a little bit of their weight, but you also have to consider there's an entire sport dedicated to doing a squat, a bench, and a deadlift all on the same day. Now, you're not necessarily trying to be that competitive. Maybe you are. Not trying to be that competitive when you're doing this over the holiday season, but just keep in mind that we don't need to find what our true 3 rep max is, because it doesn't really matter, right? If you do anything but gym related stuff for your job, who cares what your 3 rep max, 1 rep max, whatever. You go to your office and you tell somebody that's sitting across from you in your cubicle saying, I deadlifted, 480 for 2 this. Oh, cool. That's great. Yeah. They don't give a shit, right? That it's for you. Now, if you really want to go nuts with that, I still implore you to push it off until January. So again, we'll move over. It's the new year. Haha, happy new year. It's 2024. Great. We all got these new glasses on. It's okay. Anyway, so that first 3 months, okay, you're coming off of some heavy triples. Maybe you take that, after New Year's Eve because you really tied one on, right? Maybe you take that week off because, you're trying to recover from going crazy. And that's fine. But, if that's the route you take, try to move a little bit, right? You kind of have this hangover from the holidays and from probably New Year's Eve. And, you're sleep deprived. You're getting back to work. Maybe your kids are going back to school. That week is not a bad week to take off, okay? But, Josh, it's the New Year's. I have a New Year's resolution. Make it about something else, okay? This is not hey, it's 2024. Let's have this goal and be done by 2025 and never have to think about it again. That's not fitness. I'm sorry. Okay. But in January, now we're thinking ones. Okay, now we got to be a little more strategic. So we took the time in the first 2 weeks of September to sensibly build ourselves up a little bit and get through the 2 weeks of hell. We spent 4 weeks ramping up and getting some repetitions under our belt. Then we spent another 6 weeks ramping up for heavy sets of 3, right? Maybe you start with 4s and 5s in the beginning and, you're doing that. Maybe you end that phase with starting to start your 3s, maybe 5 sets of 3 at a weight that you were doing for 5 sets of 5, but kind of to bridge that gap for 3s. And really set in stone on Monday I'm benching, on Tuesday I'm blah, 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 blah. So that for the next 6 weeks, from about Thanksgiving through the new year, you can really commit every Monday. All I'm thinking about for my gym is this. And then when I finish that, if I'm not throwing up, shouldn't be. If I'm not throwing up or feeling terrible or, had to really push myself through those sets of 3, I am then going to do leg press, lunges, split squats, push-ups, whatever accessory movement that you so choose. But giving yourself 1, maybe 2 main exercises a day during that phase is great. That'll also, again, set the stage. It's now January. You took that first week off. We're in the second week. And now we're thinking, okay, last chance to switch what you're going to do on a Monday. I've been squatting and benching on a Monday. I really like that. Cool. Man, I've been deadlifting on a Monday, and I just can't seem to get the engine going after a Sunday. Maybe I need to move it. Maybe you do. So, Monday. Hey, we're thinking heavy sets of 1. Maybe what I'm going to do is some 3s, right? Not try to kill myself. Not trying to go for a 3 rep max, but I'm trying to get some work done without it being too fatiguing, right? Too many repetitions will make my endurance go down for me trying to really do a rep after a rep after a rep and try to push that. Maybe I'll do 3s. And on bench, maybe I'll do some 4s and keep it sensible. Maybe I'll do, 3 or 4 sets of 3 on Monday, and maybe I'll do 3 or 4 sets of 4 on bench on Monday and take Tuesday off and Wednesday. Great. I do like doing deadlifts on a Wednesday, so I'm going to do sets of 2, right? But not trying to drain myself. Maybe I'll build up to a quote-unquote heavy set of 2, where each week I'm just trying to push the boundary just a little bit for the next maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then I'll maybe drop down. Maybe I'll do my heavy set of 2 with my flipped grip. Maybe I'm using hook grip, whatever. And then I'm going to do maybe 2 sets of 5 as a drop set with straps, maybe. Take Thursday off. Friday rolls around. Maybe I'm going to do bench and just like some arm stuff. I'm not going to do too much because I got a squat tomorrow, but I'm going to do some bench. Maybe I'll do some, light back work. Maybe I'll stick to triceps. I do like that. I'm going to pump those guns just a little bit. Whatever. With my bench, though, this is the day I probably should start thinking about ones. So I don't necessarily need to max, but maybe this first week, I'm going to do like 5 sets of 1 at what I was doing my 3s at. Just 1 at a time. Get a little bit of more work done in that same weight that I did my 3s at. Okay. Then Saturday rolls around. I should probably start thinking about heavy squats. Maybe I'll build up to what feels kind of gross for that day for a heavy set of 1. Hey, maybe what I'll do is this first week or two, I'll be okay with kicking my weight back just a little bit. And I'm going to do my first 2 weeks without a belt. I'm just going to see what I got. I'm not going to strain myself, but I am going to teach myself with lighter weights how to work hard. I might grunt a little. I'm going to be fine. My technique is still going to be good. And man, when I put that belt on, I'm going to be super confident going into the next month to 6 weeks of training that I can lift anything. Because once I put that belt on, I know it's going to feel a lot better. Great. Now you have a plan for 2 to 4 weeks in January. February rolls around. Wow, I really beat myself up. Those beltless squats, I really like this structure. I think what I'm going to do is take a week off. Week of Valentine's, it's time. We're doing heavy singles on deadlift on Wednesday. We're doing heavy singles on bench on Friday. We're doing heavy singles on Saturday with squat. We're going to throw in a little bit of extra accessory work as we go without getting fatigued. Let's go for it. We're going to do this for 4 weeks. Then I'm going to spend 2 weeks making sure that I taper down, so a little less intensity so that my body can recover. Maybe just 1 week for your bench. Maybe only 10 days for your squat. And I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take that 2-week taper. I'm going to come back up and I'm going to hit 1 week where I'm going to max. And then the next week, I'm going to max again. Now, if you go that route, what works best for my clients is that we start grouping together your maxes just for that first week of maxing. But I may change your order. The reason is during that 2 weeks you could call it a taper. It could just be considered a pivot or whatever. It's not a true taper because usually tapers are only 10, 12 days. I'm saying 2 weeks. Anyway, so you're going to dip down for a week, kind of like a deload. We're going to slowly come back up, maybe 2 sets of 1 and everything. Great. Now we know what a heavyweight feels like. Maybe we've already PR'd. Okay, I did a PR, but I did it 2 sets of 1. Great. Maybe my deadlift during that pivot happened on a Wednesday. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until 2 Wednesdays to hit my first deadlift max, my true go for it max. Maybe that week before, that Friday, I benched, but I'm going to wait until the following Saturday, 8 days, to do my first max. And then you know what? I'm going to do my squat on that same day so I get the feeling for that squat bench. Awesome. Great. Then you have a whole week that goes by, and I recommend you go through that whole week, similar taper to that week building up to that Wednesday and that Saturday. Whole week taper, take the weekend off, come in Monday, hit them all. The reason I say that, it's a way different experience doing squat and bench and deadlift. You can get some big numbers. And in fact, you might actually get much bigger numbers splitting it than, 10, 12 days later. Few reasons. One, you might be fatigued. You might be a little sore. Circumstances might not be as a little different. You might have been more motivated the first time, but it's going to take you a while to do all 3. So I do recommend taking 20, 30 minutes in between each exercise. And chances are you're not going to be taking nearly as many warm-up sets. You're going to be pretty confident in your ability instead of your usual, I'm going to jump 10 pounds all the way up. By now, you're probably, I need to jump 50, then 90, then 50, whatever. Really, it comes down to your lift. A lot of people, when it comes to squat and deadlift, they're jumping 90 plus pounds. Some are jumping, 220 if they're using kilos. They might jump 100 kilos in one shot. Anyway, By now, again, you're just thinking single. There's no drop sets. There's no nothing. You don't have any extra work to do after this. You just got to put all three together. And man, I can't wait because I'm taking an entire week off after this. I'm not doing shit. Okay, so it's that Monday. You've had 8 days rest. You put a big squat on. Boom. You blow it out of the water. Blow it out of the water. Even though you just hit a new PR 2 weeks in a row. You blow this weight that you've done before out of the water somewhere in your warm-ups. And you get this spark like, holy shit. Now, why is that? For me, what happens is when I do really, really heavy lifts, I'm trying to hold all my shit together, push through, but I have a tendency to try a little too hard to do it perfect. Okay, I guess that's how I would say it. I'm still thinking about my technique on a 1 rep max, which you still should a little bit. You can't just throw caution to the wind. Fuck it. Who needs knees, dude? I'm just going to go for it. No. You do need knees to squat. I think. Yeah, for sure. For sure you need knees to squat. Just for a second I was thinking, is there a Paralympic athlete that doesn't have knees that can squat? I was just trying to, Anyway, if I miss a rep or don't do as well, just like you, I get pissed. Fuck. I know I could do more. I just know it. Now, you've waited 8 days. You've been thinking about it extra for 8 days. Your mentality's come back and you're like, motherfucker, I am going to front squat 400 pounds this time, even if it kills me. Not like that. But that goes through my head. I'm going to fucking front squat 400 pounds this next time. This missing shit isn't for me. So you spent 8 days and you go for it and you get it. Boom. Now, I will say, if you get a new max that a week before, 2 weeks before, whatever you were unsuccessful at, or it's new, that hits you a little bit nervous system wise. You're going to be a little tired going into bench, but still motivated. Still take a 30-minute time off, maybe eat a little something. Come back, bench, warm up, take your time, make sure your shoulders are good and warm because you did rest for 30 minutes. Bench is going to go to the same way. You're going to put a weight on that, last week, the thought of freaked you out a little bit, and you're still a little numb, kind of like we talked about before, where for some reason when you're in heavy weights don't seem as bad as those first 2 weeks of September. So, you hit that new weight. Boom. That's 2 new PRs. Now it's deadlift time. Now, for some people, you might be able to hit a bigger deadlift. A lot of people, that's not going to be the case. So err on the side of caution, my God, going into deadlift, okay? Don't be like one of my clients who, is getting married. Don't be like one of my clients who a couple weeks out from her wedding said, Josh, I hit a big weight and that felt really good. Can I do more? You could, but not today. What? Not today. And then a half hour later asking, no, seriously, can I do more? No, it's been a half hour, okay? You sit your fucking ass down and you cheer for everybody else, okay? Anyway, the deadlift may work for you. It may not for you. You may decide, hey, you know what? For this max, I'm going to use straps. Okay. But if you're going to change your grip, right? You go from not using straps to using straps. You got to understand you will be able to pull more weight. And that might not be a good thing. Just because, hey, I can get more weight off the ground, first of all, doesn't mean you're stronger. Second of all, it could mean your body's not quite ready to hold this weight because all of a sudden you went from using your whole body to grip. Now you have this extra assistance, this new extra tool. Holy crap, it feels so much lighter in my hands. I'm going to go for it. You may be able to push past your boundary. But again, that might not be a good thing. Here's why. If at all it feels heavy in your hands, but the straps help you a little extra, your body will be more likely to compromise its position. You might start in a really good position that you always started, but as you go, you might lose that position. Now, losing that position, I'm not saying immediately your back blows up. That's not what I'm saying. But if that's always your mindset, now all of your PRs in the long term, every single one of your PR, you have lost your structural integrity on. You went from training a certain way all the time. This is looking good. This is looking good. I maxed out with this new grip. It's looking really good, to I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You could have some damage. I'm not saying you will. I'm not saying it's bad for your back to lift out of position once in a while. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is if every single time you do your best, biggest weight with that position, it might creep into your mind. Who cares if I do it all the time? Well, your back cares. To lose its structural integrity, lose its pressure every single time, to go from a solid, rigid position that you're trying to maintain and the weight forces you out of that position while under tension every single time, probably not good, okay? Just think of how that sounds. You're trying to be in a position and you're being pulled out of that position. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it teaches you how to be rigid. It teaches you some shit can go wrong. It teaches you, it prevents you from being fragile, right? Because, my body changed 1/2 of a degree and boom, everything crumbled. That's not what I want. A little is fine. Every single time, maybe not. Okay? So, when you're doing that third deadlift, and you're going for that third exercise, deadlift, when you're going for it, you'll get this sense of, holy shit, I'm tired. Okay? But it's moving really well. Great. Go for it. And it's moving like shit. I feel like shit. It's moving like shit. Err on the side of caution. I'm not saying be a wuss. Okay? Oh, it feels like shit, so I might as well stop. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is understand you might not get a PR. And that's okay. But really understand, if you feel, I might not get a PR, don't try to talk yourself into it. That's when people put down that extra notch in their belt. They grit their teeth. They really grab and just yank. Now we're really in uncharted territory for your body. Not smart, okay? So if it feels like crap, but it's still moving well, do it. Go for it. Have a big squat, have a big bench, have a big deadlift all in the same day. A lot of my clients do, and a lot of my clients get big PRs that way too. But some of my clients, that just doesn't work for them, okay? And it might not work for you. It's something that you at least need to know could happen. I am not saying you need to tell yourself, well, I'm just being, weak, or I'm being strong, or whatever. No. And I'm also not trying to say this to you so that you have a way to get out of it later. Oh, I feel like, no. I'm just talking to those people that have that little screw that is a little loose, a little bit, and they can try to convince themselves that it's gonna be okay. They go for it, and then they get hurt. It happens. Again, a lot of people know it's gonna go well, or no, it's not gonna go well. And if you quote unquote know, you're not gonna convince yourself otherwise. But know this, having a plan is the number one thing you need to get a hold of. First 2 weeks needs to be easy. Next 6 weeks, let's start ramping up. The next 6 weeks, let's start touching and tasting those heavier weights. The next 6 weeks, maybe we hit some heavy threes. The next 6 weeks, maybe we go for it. I'll see you next year for that. Thank you.